Viwe Tyolwana.
I'm Viwe. For more information on the work that we do and how you can help us to help others, please visit our website www.secondchances.org.za.
In Junior Achievement South Africa, its focus is really to expose youngsters within high school and out of school to entrepreneurial thinking, and ours is focused at high school from grade 10 to 12.
I'm very big on youth empowerment and making a difference and touching lives and impacting the lives of our young people. That's practically what I do with my foundation as well, and ever since I was crowned as Miss SA.
The goal of the magazine is to basically share information that will be able to assist small business owners.
You're listening to The Social Show with Viwe Tyolwana and Lebika Raward, live on brandlive.co.za.
Welcome everybody to another episode. I like saying episode, I don't know why. Another take on Social Show. My name is Viwe Tyolwana, as you heard, and today is a beautiful day. The sun is out. My energy is coming from the sun, so everything is going to be good today. I can feel it in my skin. I hope you guys are having a beautiful morning already. I hope you're in the office, you're doing only the best that you can do, and you're coming up with really amazing CSI and CSR strategies, and hopefully you're listening to this show and you are inspired, and that's what we aim to do. That's what the Social Show aims to do, to inspire and to make sure that we are all doing the very best that we can do. As usual, we're going to start the day off with the news. A digital game competition is set to give Western Cape residents the opportunity to drive social change in their communities. The Serious About Games initiative uses a new approach to address the challenges facing the province's poorest residents. 4 teams have been selected as semi-finals and have been awarded 50,000 rand to develop the prototype of the game, which must be ready for final judging by the 24th of March. The project is a collaboration between the Western Cape Department of Economic Development and Tourism, the Cape Innovation and Technology Initiative, Interactive Entertainment South Africa, 67 Games, and the Cape Craft and Design Institute. Minister Winder said that the Serious About Games initiatives called for game developers to work with communities to create a game which would allow residents to reimagine their communities with a focus on better access to economic opportunities. The panel of judges in the semi-final included Wits game design lecturer Hanley Geisa, international indie game developer Vive Jaffer, startup consultant Alex Frazier, gaming industry lawyer Nicholas Hall, and Olivia Dyers and Bianca Mpahlaza Schiff of DEDAT. The winning team receives 1 million to develop their game and make it available to their communities. In other news, the student housing crisis appears to be escalating in the mother city. The University of Cape Town has appealed to some homeowners in the southern suburbs to help ease the current shortfall of accommodation. At the same time, there are reports that some students at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology Wellington campus have resorted to sleeping on the floor of the campus storerooms. UCT Deputy Vice Chancellor for Transformation, Professor Loretta Ferris, says high rental prices have made off-campus accommodation prohibitive for vulnerable students. The spaces are pegged at a rate that is so high that it becomes unaffordable for our students. That is why students end up sleeping on the floor, and that's what they are trying to alleviate. UCT's off-campus student accommodation service office links students up with affordable accommodation through their database of local landlords. Ferris explained that university has asked property owners to make accommodation cheaper, rooms in the region of 3,000 to 4,000 per month, and considering waiving their deposits as well. She says that the appeal for cheaper accommodation has already resulted in additional 45 beds over the weekend, and she hopes to see more property owners drop their rental prices. Lastly, in our news, Dove has announced its Real Beauty Pledge, which aims to help women to realize their personal beauty potential and create a world where beauty is a source of confidence, not anxiety. As part of the Dove Real Beauty Showcase, 30 portraits underlining the reality of beauty in women from around the world will be on display in New York City and online. The women featured in the Dove Real Beauty Showcase are all real women who will be introduced to the world by name. Each of them had a say in how they looked in their photographs, and some of them featured have have also benefited from self-esteem education delivered through Dove Self-Esteem Project, a project created to help girls develop a positive relationship with the way they look and to reach their full potential in life. Dove research found that although 9 to 10 women and girls in South Africa are proud to be female and embrace it, 65% of women and 72% of girls wish the media did a better job of portraying women of diverse physical appearance in terms of race, age, shape and size. 54% of South African women and 58% of girls believe the media and advertising set an unrealistic standard of beauty most women can't ever change, and 73% of women believe that the social media creates more pressure for the way people look. And that concludes our news for the day.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastownmedia.co.za.
When we hear or read of entrepreneurs, we often hear of the likes of Richard Branson, the normal, Steve Jobs, or Mark Zuckerberg, or all these American really, really rich, like Trump, all these kind of things. But rarely do we hear about African entrepreneurs that changed the game and revolutionized the industry, let alone about African social innovators. Yet we strongly believe that the destiny of our continent is shaped by the greatness of our people. Now, the beauty is that there are too many African entrepreneurs and social innovators to list them all, but it is very inspiring to realize just how many great people this continent of ours is blessed with. Nonetheless, we all know that Africa is facing some serious socio-economic challenges. According to the 2012 African Economic Outlook report, Africa has 200 million youths between 15 and 24. This number is forecasted to double by 2045. 60% of Africa's unemployed youth 60% of Africa's unemployed are youth, obviously. 70% of Africa's youth live on less than $2 per day, which is an international poverty threshold. Between 10 to 12 million African youths join the labor force each year. And besides these challenges, there are many others related to, environment, gender violence, corruption that plague the continent. And as you can see, African social innovators have their work cut out for them. Fortunately, there are many talented and brave people working on solutions. And last week I got a great social innovator on the show on the same day, on Tuesday, Gwandilis Kosana, who I have to give a shout out to. He's doing such great stuff in Ekurhuleni. He is championing, the University of Ekurhuleni, the only metropolitan without a university. A lot of people, sleep on that. They don't realize that Ekurhuleni has got a lot of people, it's got a lot of young people, and there's just no university. And he's also, the Davidton Book Club, a founder, which has over 2 million books all over the country right now. He's actually on his way to getting into Eastern Cape as well now. He's just everywhere in South Africa, and he really wants to change the way in which people see reading in the whole of South Africa. And there's so many other young social innovators in South Africa, and I will every single Tuesday, what I will do is try to get them on studio, especially in South Africa. I know so many guys, so many girls who are doing such great things that are not only giving them an income, but are also helping the community around them. And that's what social innovation is. Social innovation is coming up with a strategy or solution that is going to impact the community in a positive way. But you will be able to also live off of it, because that's what we all want. We want, entrepreneurs. We want more social innovators in South Africa. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about the top African social innovators who are actually doing a lot of work and are making a lot of money. And hopefully you can get inspired today if you are young and you're a social innovator. So yeah, I'm going to give you the top 4 from my opinion. And if you have anyone else that you think should be nominated as a really great social innovator or someone who's coming up with really amazing stuff and is young and is vibrant and really wants to work hard, please do tweet me on Viwe for Real and let me know, and I will find out about them and I will definitely include them in today's show. So today we're going to start off with this guy, so amazing. His name is Ismail Ahmed. Now, approximately 30 million Africans are living outside the continent. Many of them send money home to support low-income households so they can afford food, clothes and medicine. Yet according to World Bank, readmittance costs to Africa are the highest in the world. The average cost of remitting money to sub-Saharan Africa is $9.74 85% of the amount. Remittance costs for sending money to Africa are the highest globally. Luckily, one visionary entrepreneur from Somalia has set his sights on solving the cost of high remittance costs, and his name is, as I said, Ishmael Ahmed. I'm sorry, I'm not from Somalia, so I could be saying the words really wrong, but it looks like Ishmael, but it could be Ismail because there's no H. And his company is called World Remit. Now, World Remit is an innovative fintech company that wants to make it easy, fast, and safe to send money online anywhere, anytime. And now their goal is to provide a low-cost alternative to the high-cost providers, which such as Western Union, that make remittance costs to Africa the highest in the world. In case you are interested, check out the review of World Remit on Rise Africa, and you'll see exactly what that review means, when it means we a third world country have the highest costs when it comes to sending money back home. And that to me makes no sense, because it's a third world country and it should be cheaper, it should be easier, we can't pay to to try and help our families. That to me is horrible. So anyway, Ahmed had recognized the need to transform the remittance industry many years before he started his company. He left Somalia after receiving a World Bank scholarship that took him to the United Kingdom while studying for his PhD at the University of London. He wanted to send money to his family members, right, back home, and yet every transaction meant a hazardous journey across London to agents that charged high fees to send relatively modest amounts to Africa. And that's exactly the problem, right? We can't. This is you don't even think about it. I don't think a lot of people will sit down and say, the cost to send money back home is quite high. But it's something that is so smart and so such a great gap that he saw when he realized that he's paying more to send the money than the actual money he's giving away, and that's really horrible. And I love that he came up with this. So anyway, as annoyed as he was with this industry, he realized that it was worth billions of dollars and customers were treated to very poor service. And he knew that this industry needed to be disrupted. Yet, this African social innovator started his own company only after completing his MBA from 2008-2010 at the London School of Business. And in its short existence, you have to hear this. The company has managed to raise close to $150 million. World Remit finds itself in a very exciting market that, according to World Bank, will be worth over $600 billion in 2017. In 2015, the company generated revenues of $39 million, which in dollar terms represented a 56% growth compared to 2014. The company currently averages around 400,000 transfers each month with an average transaction of £90. Now, this is amazing, and I think, World Remit is a great example of what fintech revolution has to offer: innovation, empowerment to individuals, and new opportunities to the financial services industry. And we are happy, so happy to see African social innovators, leading the revolution, seeing the gaps and attacking, because sometimes we always wait for a solution to come from the heavens. And when I say heavens, I mean the West. And at the end of the day, we must realize that they aren't necessarily looking out for our best interests. And I'm not saying everyone from the West is not necessarily trying, but I'm saying that Africans need to solve African problems. I think that's the premise of, being an African social innovator. You see what it is that's happening in your own country and you try to fix it. There's no point in us being these intellectuals, these smart, business tycoons, and we're all the way in London and in Europe and in Milan, and we're not necessarily giving back to the continent that, birthed us. I mean, what's the point? What are you going to, tell your children? Or are you going to tell your people generations later? You want to make sure that you contributed to the health of your country, of your continent. And the more we see Africans, dealing with African problems, Africans coming up with African solutions, the more we're going to see a healthier group of innovators, a healthier group of entrepreneurs, and a healthier continent, and kids who can grow up and not feel ashamed of being an African and feel like opportunities are limited and there's no room for growth. And a lot of people feel stifled in their own continent, and that saddens me. And we just need to start we need to start thinking about the African Renaissance and Africans coming together to really build the continent to be what it is that we want it to be. We can't keep dreaming to leave, but we have so many problems in our own country. And I think that's what Ishmael, saw. And I love that he, from London, from such a far place, was able to detect that problem and make a really amazing company, but a company that also is going to empower individuals, which I think is amazing. Another great innovator, social innovator rather, is Fred Swaneker. Now, Fred Swaneker is a Ghanaian serial entrepreneur and leadership expert. He launched 5 organizations that aim to develop future leaders in Africa. He has been recognized by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader and was listed by Forbes magazine among the top 10 young power men in Africa 2011. He is most famous for co-founding the African Leadership Academy, ALA, on the outskirts of Johannesburg, South Africa in 2004. Now, ALA seeks to enable lasting peace and prosperity in Africa by developing and connecting the continent's future leaders. The Academy is a secondary institution for 15 to 18-year-olds from all African countries, and as part of its 2-year curriculum, the Academy puts a special emphasis on African studies and entrepreneurship. Now, Swaneker, a former McKinsey consultant, was deeply concerned about the quality of leadership across the African continent and the consequences that this entailed. In his mind, what Africa needed most was ethical and entrepreneurial leadership to transform the continent. And what I love about this is that he's really right. When you think about all the African leaders and all the African leaders that have come before and those who are still coming, and I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say any names, especially in our country. I'm not gonna say any names, who our leader is. But we need a much more emphasis in grooming African leaders as entrepreneurial thinkers as well as ethical leaders. People who can have both of those in the same way. All we want in South Africa is economic prosperity. And if we can have a leader who understands that, and a leader who understands that we need to transform the way people think in order for them to be able to really think in a way that is going to give them more access to, the economy. And I really think that it's a beautiful initiative, ALA, and maybe I'll go and visit them and just come up with and just go and see what's going on. Maybe I wonder if it's still open. I mean, 2004 was a while ago, but I think this is one of the most amazing initiatives because it's about the thinking process. It's about grooming, and it's about grassroots teaching. And I think that's what we need. We need our 15 and 18-year-olds to think of themselves as African leaders, not as just leaders, as African leaders, good African leaders with ethical morals and with entrepreneurial leadership and an idea of what it is that they can do to make sure that Africans feel like they have access to the economy. Another really amazing entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, is Anne Gituku Shongwe. Now, these names are amazing, but they're long. But I'll try my best. Anne Gituku Shongwe is founder and CEO of Afori's Transformational Multimedia and Consulting. Like the African Leadership School, which I just talked about, the objective of the company is to position African youth for productive futures by innovating them in skills acquisition, engagement, and connecting to opportunity. Now, they do this by developing gamified solutions that address specific socio-economic challenges such as youth unemployment, gender-based violence, child protection and safety, as well as environmental issues. One such game is called the Job Hunt that aims to teach the user about the world of online work. Now, the user is invited into an online world where he or she needs to compete for jobs, compete with them on time, earn an income, and at the same time manage his or her own skills and resources. Now, Anne and her company have won many prizes and accolades, and among them are the Caritas Women Initiative Awards, the Schwab Social Entrepreneur of the Year 2013, and by the World Economic Forum, as well as being nominated as a Fellow Unreasonable Institute in 2011. And prior to her work as a social entrepreneur, she was a developmental professional with the United Nations for 15 years, where she ran a large-scale international national programs across Africa. In addition, she has also, a master's degree in international development management from the American University in Washington, D.C. Again, as someone who believes completely in making sure that we teach people how to be responsible. We teach Black people how to be responsible. We teach African people how to understand what kind of skills they have, what kind of resources they have, what kind of money they can earn, and how they can use that to better their lives, to better the quality of their family lives, and to also give back to the community. And that's what's so amazing about social innovators. What they do, that they make sure that they are giving back to the community, but they're also leading by example. They're also saying, you know what, this is what we found, this is a gap we found, this is what we're going to teach because we've learned it, and we're going to give back to Africans, and hopefully that's going to translate to better generations who think about money differently, who think about giving differently, who think about innovation differently. You know, sometimes when you think of innovation or you think about entrepreneurs, as I said in the beginning of the show, you think of like, you know, American, you think even about, you know, Chinese amazing innovators and you know, entrepreneurs and people who are coming up with new stuff. And it's not necessarily just them. There's so many beautiful African entrepreneurs and social innovators who we don't talk about, who we don't know, who are really trying to lead the pack. And what's beautiful about most of them is that they actually really want to make sure that when they go back home, that that same energy, that same information is seeped into, you know, the countries that they come from, seeped into the youth that they, you know, that is looking up to them, and is seeped into the fiber of the continent. And I think that's what's so important about being a social innovator, is that your work is so much more rewarding than just a normal you know, entrepreneur trying to make it. You've got such a great responsibility across your continent and across your community. And lastly, my last person I'd like to put up as one of the best social innovators in Africa is Bethlehem Tilahun Alemu. Now, he is the founder and managing director of Soul Rebels in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Now, Soul Rebels began in 2004 as an idea to bring jobs and Zenab work to bring jobs to Zenab work community. I don't even know how Zenab work. How's that even a word? But anyway, Ethiopians, no hate. Which is a small village in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, a place where literally, you know, there was nothing. Now, Alemi grew up in the rural, impoverished community of Zenabwork. As is common among many social entrepreneurs, she recognized opportunity facing adversity. Growing up surrounded by unemployed people, Alemu noticed that many of them had remarkable artisan skills. Now, this drove her to explore ways in which those skills could be harnessed for the benefit of the community. Shortly after graduating from Unity University in Ethiopia in accounting, she convinced her husband and her family to back her with some startup capital for a social enterprise. Now, Alemi decided to start an eco-friendly and ethical footwear company called Soul Rebels in 2004. Alemi founded a footwear company because this represented a great opportunity to share many of the indigenous Ethiopian eco-sensible craft heritages and artisan talent in the world. And the shoes strongly reflect Ethiopian culture and tradition, and a more modern reinvention of the famous Selate and Basso shoe. And these kinds of shoes have been worn by Ethiopians for a long time. In fact, Ethiopian rebel fighters wore these shoes in their days fighting against European armies, and the company Soul Rebels honors those fighters who defended their country in those days. Now, again, Alemu has, you know, like everyone else that I've mentioned, received many awards and recognitions for her extraordinary work. Among them he's a winner of the 2012 Schwab Foundation Social Entrepreneur of the Award, and also the World Economic Forum Young Global Leader in 2011. And she was 100 Most Powerful Women to Watch in 2012 by Forbes magazine. And besides the above, Alemu has also been invited to sit on the board of African Innovators, African Innovation Foundation, which makes investments into African-led solutions and addresses challenges faced by the continent. And again, these are only just four of the cream of the crop. I think there's so many more that I could have spoken about today. There's so many different ways of being a social innovator. Like I said, I spoke to a really amazing guy the other day, Kwandile Skosana, but there are so many South African innovators that are doing the very best to make sure that everybody that they are helping is helped from a grassroots level. And that's what's important to me, right? I want to make sure, or want to see, more African leaders, more African entrepreneurs going back to their homes, going back to the people that are looking at them and thinking that they're amazing, and saying, you know what, I've got these skills and I really want to share them. And that's what all of these amazing social entrepreneurs have in common. They have the same thread, which says we need to make sure that our more African people get into entrepreneurship, get into innovation, and make sure that we inspire them so that we can have African, led solutions for our country. Ishmael Ahmed, Fred Swanika, Bethlehem Tilahun Alemu, and Jitu Kushongwe are just four, obviously, of the amazing social innovators out of many that are transforming our continent through their work. And as you all heard, all of them come from different backgrounds and are working on different issues in different parts of Africa. So you don't have to always think of one solution. There's not only one solution to Africa. We all have different ways of understanding what our country needs and what our continent needs. And what I love about them is that they all looked at different things, and that's what makes them unique, right? A lot of the time you find with a lot of social innovators, they all have sort of a common strategy, especially because when you think of funding in South Africa and you think of how the government funds innovators and entrepreneurs, it's always about what they deem important. Like, for instance, I know last year, most of the money went to education and healthcare, which I think are very important causes to give to and initiatives to give to. But what about, sanitation? What about disaster relief? I mean, we just had Hurricane Dinero. What about, I know the Charlotte Makalika Hospital roof just collapsed. I mean, how many people came through to help? And from a disaster relief perspective, there's a lot of different things. Arts and culture is also still at the bottom of disabilities. I mean, if you think of life as a demand, there's so many different ways in which, social innovators can come in and help and see the gap and help their communities, because they are in the community, most of them. I mean, most of them live in the communities, and which is why they can see where the gap is. And most of these amazing African innovators, understood their country in a way that nobody did, because they grew up there, they understood the problems, and then they tried to find the solutions. And a lot of the time, social innovators, especially in South Africa, are forced, to go to education, make education initiatives, or make, health initiatives, instead of what they actually can see is one of the biggest issues in their communities. And remember, communities have different problems. Communities have different, problems in terms of access, whether it's information, whether it's healthcare, whether it's, disability, the funds, whether it is, whatever the case may be. We need to be a little bit more open in the way that we fund and in the way that, the government gives, money to people who are trying to fix problems. So there's a lot of issues in our country. There's a lot of socioeconomic challenges in Africa as a whole. But the more we have these young minds coming up with such amazing initiatives, the more I feel, blessed to be in the country that I am, to be in the continent that I am, to know so many African thinkers and intellectuals and innovators is just a blessing. And to know that people are really looking out for African-led solutions for Africa is enough to make me sleep better at night. And I hope you learned a little bit more about social innovation today. And if you have an idea or you know somebody who's doing something amazing, please don't hesitate to let me know at Viwe For Real on my Twitter account, and I will definitely tweet you back and let you know what I think about whoever you tell me about. But more than that, it's important that we shine a light on these extraordinary individuals who saw their come up in helping the community. It's very rare. You don't see it a lot. And that concludes my show for the day. I will talk to you all again tomorrow morning.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.